glad to see some respect being put on Justin's name thanks to this chapter. I think a lot of people did think a little bit highly of Justin, at least in comparison to the other new characters in this tournament, but this chapter right here, I think a lot of people are going to start taking Justin a bit more seriously, as well as what's going to happen in the next chapter, because the position that Justin has put Gaolang in by the end of this chapter is really not a good one. But besides that, I will have an explanation for why this review is, well, better late than never. But for now, let's just go straight into the chapter that is called Panther Bullet. And it starts off by what seems to be an end of a manga, or a climax of a manga, where it says fighting boss X, and it has its main character that's called Takeshi saying that technique doesn't make any difference. Winning is all about how much you want it. Now, this is a very naive view, and we see Justin himself thinking about this, and he's saying, of course, he remembers that line from a manga he used to read, but it's all bullshit. With him basically saying that if it was only a matter of willing something that determined an outcome of a fight, then no one would bother, knowing how to fight. And that is basically what he means by saying no one would practice martial arts. I know a few people are confused by this, but that's specifically what it means. Why build up strength? Why do all of this stuff if it does not impact the final outcome of any particular fight you are in? But setting that aside, he even says that if this were the case, he'd be wanting it so much more, specifically talking about his fight against Gaolang, which he is currently in, and that just will not be enough to beat someone like, of course, Gaolang. We then have Kim and Okubo taking a note to the damage that Justin has taken from the last chapter, because he was taking quite the beating from Gaolang, especially when he got openings through his body blow to the point where he had to swing wildly. And we even get some commentary that also says that, hey, this fight has been one-sided so far. Gaolang has been dominating more or less. We then have Yamashita confirming that Gaolang is still in his flicker stance. That means that he's going to be sticking to outboxing, meaning he's going to try to keep Justin at a distance. But we then have the referee saying, of course, the fight has to go on. And with that, we then have Justin trying to go in. But of course, as it happened in the last chapter and is happening now, Justin isn't really getting a chance to touch Gaolang at all. In fact, he's more so landing on Gaolang's strikes more often than not and not managing to grab Gaolang. But he's being a bit more persistent here, and we go into what I can really describe as a cat and mouse game, where Justin tries to go in to grab Gaolang, but Gaolang, he sticks to his outboxing and is basically striking at him, making sure he doesn't come too close, and Justin just fumbling to get to him. And we have Katihara and Jerry both commending Gaolang for his footwork in this instance, because it does show that he has great footwork. And Yamashita, he's more so, of course, backing this up, that's saying that this is the best strategy a boxer can use in this situation, because you don't want to get grabbed by a wrestler or a grappler. Like, that's a bad idea. And so sticking to outboxing would be pretty good, because if you try to do inboxing, he is at a much higher risk of getting grabbed by Justin. And that is despite the fact that, of course, Gaolang's specialty, or how he usually fights, is with inboxing. But as this cycle continues, a lot of people are noting that, hey, look, Justin's having quite a rough time. But Gaolang, he's noticing that he really isn't getting anywhere with this. Like, yeah, he's doing damage, just not enough of it. It's not substantial, and it won't be enough to put someone like him down. And Okubo, of course, he also sees this. He's like, look, Gaolang's probably noticed that Justin is taking next to no damage from this outboxing tactic. and that is because of Justin's neck, something we saw of course from his fight against Sakigake. His neck strength is incredibly strong and cushions most of the blows that are taken directly to the head by Justin. So Gaolang's gonna need a lot more force. He's gonna have to pack a little bit of a harder punch in order to take Justin down. And unfortunately, that will actually mean that he's going to have to step in deeper into closer range against Justin. And of course, right after Okubo says this, we see Gaolang changing up his stance. I'm assuming this is his in-boxing stance because he's of course realized what's happening with Justin, and I don't think this is his Muay Thai stance at all. So Gaolang is changing up his strategy here, and this is the moment that Justin himself was waiting for. In fact, that's the reason he took those hits. He wanted Gaolang to realize this. And of course, we then see him of course charge at Gaolang again, almost the same tactic as before, and of course to no one's surprise, Gaolang dodges. But then as he's dodging towards the left, or Gaolang's left side, he then notices that Justin, he's taking a different stance as he's going to charge at him again. A super low stance, and this low stance is called the Panther Bullet. Now I think it's safe to talk about the fact that this might be one of the two aces that Justin actually has here, because we'll see what it does in a few moments. But it's a really low tackle that seems like it's particularly fast, but Gaolang first notices that it's extra low, and with that he plans to counter it with a kick. However, as he launches his kick, Justin then grabs his leg and of course trips him and gets on top of him immediately. And it is at that moment where Yamashita's like, oh boy, that was it. That was Justin's goal the entire time. Or at least he's speculating in his mind, because he's sort of recalling the moments that led up to this, and that the Panther Bullets really only allowed for one type of attack to be able to intercept it, and that was of course a kick, because if Gaolang had launched a punch, it wouldn't have been as effective, because remember, high durability, he's a pretty strong dude. Kicks were just the more effective option here for Gaolang, and it just all seemed to be a part of Justin's plan here. Here we see something very different from Justin, something that people never really expected from Justin, and that is actual tactics in battle, because he was playing a very big mental game in this fight, because from the very beginning, from his first approach, he was trying to get Gaolang into this position. When he took those hits from Gaolang, even though he was making a few mistakes here and there, his end goal was to use the Panther Bullet at some point. And in order to do that, he needed Gaolang to be in the position that he was in. So this does just go to show that he's thinking during the match, and yeah, now that he's on top of Gaolang, he's now playing the wrestling game. And unfortunately for Gaolang, I don't think he's gonna get out of this unscathed. I think he's gonna get hurt pretty badly, honestly, because Justin is incredibly tough. Like, his attack against Sakigake shook the stadium. His strength is probably amazing, right? Then couple that with his toughness and his endurance, then add on to the fact that he's a wrestler. He's a champion wrestler. Like, the underground promotion he's from is filled with wrestlers. I mean, it's the next best thing from Sakibayashi being right on top of you. There's no way Gaolang just gets out of this, in my opinion. So it's looking bad for Gaolang in this case. But let's talk about why this review was a little bit late, because I do need to address this. I was a little bit sick. In fact, I still am. But yeah, that was really about it. That's why it was delayed for this entire time. I had like a flu, pretty bad one too. So I couldn't do the review, but I did end up doing the spoilers and the polls. But yeah, that's really about it. That's the update. Don't forget to like and sub, and until next time, take it easy.